he's 2/3 of the way out to 15, he goes, oh, we got to go back to the ramp. I said, are you experiencing any difficulty? He goes, yes, my iPad failed. And I could hear Frank, and so did you. Frank, that's where I learned my sense of humor. But, it's like this guy really thought he can't fly because of it. Yes, sir.
Yes, I fly in 1945.
You fly?
I do. 1945 Aranca.
I got skis for you. I'm serious, I got skis for you.
We would love to have them, but the town of Islip will not allow us to use them.
I've seen aircraft take off.
I know you probably have in the past.
Yep.
That's another subject, but we have people with skis, and the town of Islip said, our lawyers do not want you to use it. So
this again comes to lawyers and insurance companies who don't know anything about aviation.
Exactly. But my question is this. I fly a 1945 Champ, no electrical system. I do have a handheld that works very nice. Do you see me in the air? Do you have a little dot in the air?
My binoculars picked you up.
Well, what about radar?
Well, radar, especially within a rock, you don't have a lot of metal.
No.
So it is a very faint primary return, very faint. But if you have that in those situations, especially flying here on Long Island, you can buy a portable transponder. They do have things out there today where you can have. I believe there's out there. Somebody was telling me about it.
EAA probably has it for experimental airplanes. I'm not sure if you could put that in the plane because the plane does not have an electrical system to support that.
Right.
But you're right. You could actually build something and have a transponder.
Right.
I don't know if it's legal, but you
Yeah.
could.
Well, see, the hard thing though now here being on Long Island, this is what's going to hurt you guys at Bayport. Is now with the new ADSB rules, you're going to be really restricted to where you can fly, how high you can fly, and how you're going to get to and from. And coming into Islip for repairs or fuel is even going to become more of an issue. Because at some point they're going to say, well, you're not ADSB compliant, you can't come into Charlie airspace. That's something you guys are going to have to sit down, and I would actually suggest that if I was still there, of course, I would have worked it out for you, but now you're going to have to talk to your tower and see if you can come up with either a letter of agreement or some waiver of some type in order for an aircraft to go. And I mean, I know a lot of you guys come over for annuals and stuff, and they'll come in, and now it's going to be more of an issue. So that's something you definitely want to look into before the end of the year.
We could use your support.
Except I'm in Pennsylvania. Yes, dear.
You should talk about the Huff crash with the cell phone triangulation.
Yes, thank you. This is just before flight. Before flight had been out, I wouldn't own this house. Many of you may or may not know the people who owned the house prior to me. It was Tom and Elaine Huff. They flew into Bayport quite a few times. They had a Bamboo Bomber, they had a Champ, they had a Stinson 108, and they used to fly. He was a retired airline captain. He flew with Atlas and a few others, 747s, thousands and thousands of hours. Elaine was a state trooper in Pennsylvania. She was a pilot for them. She was a very avid pilot. She flew everywhere with her Cub and her Champ and everything else. And the two of them rarely flew together. This unfortunate time they were together, they were flying back to the house and had a serious case of get-home-itis. And I can say, let me ask you this. How many people here have gotten themselves in a dangerous or unpleasant situation because they had get-home-itis and went a little too far? It's actually a learning experience if you survive it. It can be a good thing. It will change your life. I know it happened to myself. I won't get into that sort of moment. It's not that exciting, but I pushed weather limitations. It was too far VFR. Tom and Elaine also pushed the weather limitations way too far. They were coming back to this house, and he had his own instrument approach. There were thunderstorms in the area. It was approaching dusk, which he tended to do. When we got in the house, he had little solar lights on the cones of the runway. And he had a spotlight that would shine on the windsock. So he used to milk it, come in a little after dark. You didn't hear that then. He used to push the limits way too far. So they're coming in. This is when you have too much experience and too much background, and you feel invincible. So they're coming down with their plane, coming back from Iowa. They're following a cold front of storms, and they see, when they landed at Williamsport for fuel, they see a gap. Well, it's there at that moment. How fast do those gaps fill in? In a half a second. I mean, we see it on the radar all the time. They'll just blossom in a few seconds. They're coming down Route 81, which was his downwind on his approach. As he passed my friend's house on the downwind, my friend called me. We were in upstate New York at the campground we used to go to. And he calls me up and he says, Wayne, he says, can you do me a favor and check for my friends? He says, I saw them fly by with their bamboo bomber, which anyone who doesn't know, it's a big radial twin-engine wooden airplane. He goes, I saw them fly by, there's a lot of lightning and a lot of thunderstorms in the air. It's not really nice and it's almost dark. They didn't land at their field. He goes, we went up and looked and they didn't land. He says, can you see if they landed somewhere else? So I went and called back to the Tracon actually, and then they put me in touch with Scranton Approach. And Scranton put out what they call an all-out, where we went looking for the aircraft, basically. Called all the operators, did this aircraft land here, did this, nobody could find it. They used my cell phone call with my friend and his location on the map, because they weren't talking to anyone. And this is, again, when you're getting in those situations, when you're in weather, anything that's starting to get a little iffy, you know, you really should be in touch with somebody in case something happens. They were not on it. They weren't even had their transponder. It's an old airplane. Probably didn't work that well. So they're on the downwind. He turned his base where there's a little S-turn in 81, which is Lenox. When he turned there, that's where his gap was supposed to be 30 minutes early. Now it's a level 6 microburst. They flew directly into it. Their speed, they used my phone. They triangulated my cell phone and my friend's cell phone for where the time and location. We found a primary target in and out of coverage. Like you were saying about being able to use 21.5 or other things. Out there, it's mountains. It's hard. We barely picked up this in and out primary. They were doing 100 and, I think it was 140, if I remember correctly from the NTS-3 report. They were going really fast on the down because he was trying to get in. When he turned base into the storm, they dropped to less than 40. They hit a massive level 6. I mean, this thing was just a blossom. It was terrible. And it was not a quick and painless thing. This must have been a horrifying experience. They actually hovered for quite some time. They couldn't get out of it. The core went directly over them. It was a vertical impact into the ground. They landed on top of the mountaintop. They didn't stand a chance, of course. But they couldn't find the wreckage right away because they were trying to triangulate their cell phones, which got destroyed in the fire. And then what they did is, utilizing our phone call, they were able to find the path where the aircraft was, and talking to everybody, we knew where they would turn. But the owner of the property, this older woman, they went to her right away the next day, and they said, did you hear or see anything? No. The guest, she goes, I didn't see anything. Well, 6 days later, when they finally did a whole cone of the area, because they weren't finding it, found the crash site up on top of her property. When they went back and asked her, she says, didn't you hear it? No, well, I heard a helicopter hovering overhead. No, that was an airplane. And she goes, the gas well was vented. They don't burn off gas wells. That was flames from the crash. So, unfortunately, it wouldn't have made a difference except that it was 6 more days that the family was wondering. But those kind of things are, you know, again, this is why you talk to people. If you're in that kind of weather conditions, they should have been in touch with the Scranton Approach. They should have, even though they didn't have an instrument approach, if they're going to milk it, try to get in it, at least talk to somebody, have your transponder so you have a fighting chance. But in reality, they both should have known 10 times better than to do what they did. They should have stayed in Williamsport for the evening and flew out the next morning. That's what happens when you do crazy things. As for funny stories, I got a lot of funny stories.
Air Force
I can
One.
embarrass almost everyone in here.
Air Force One, absolutely my favorite.
Air Force One story.
Oh, the Air Force One story. This is JC's favorite. Like I said, my wife worked for Air Inc., which I don't know. Does anybody know what Air Inc. is? Wow, not that many. Air Inc., Aeronautical Radio, is located right across the La Quinta on Johnson Avenue. Most people on the planet have no idea that they exist or that they're even over there. But yet, if you want to cripple the airline industry, take out that little brick building. And now that she's gone, you can't. Back in 9/11, if they had taken that out, they would have disrupted air traffic all over the world. Because they control the Atlantic and the Pacific. When you leave 200 miles off the coast, we lose radar and radio. We go to HF frequencies in her company. They've been in business longer than the FAA. And they do over oceanic air traffic control. They're not controlling the planes, they're taking position reports, weather reports, and company data also. They'll take all the other stuff they'll do with emergencies, meddlings, hijackings, all that. They transfer that information over to the center, who gets paid much more than them, and just hits a button and goes, yep, that's good. Yep, that's good. It's one of the great stories I could get into, but I won't. But at her job, they deal with all of this stuff. And one day she's working, it's kind of relatively quiet. You're sitting in a room with 2 rows of, you have the North Atlantic and the Caribbean side. So she's sitting next to her girlfriend. There's a lot of weather out over the North Atlantic. And Air Force One was on its way to Africa. I guess he was going home. I don't know. So anyways, I'm terrible. I can say these things now. So he goes ahead and he goes,
Not this president.
say again?
Not this president.
No, not this president, the one prior. So he's going and they call up and they go, New York Air Force One. And she can see it they have a bow radar where they use the position reports, and knowing on speed and everything, they can kind of project where the aircraft is. It's a fake radar that they use. So she can see he's coming up and she's talking to her girlfriend, and her girlfriend's confiding a very personal story, so she goes, Air Force One, stand by. And a few moments pass by. New York Air Force One. Stand by. So a couple minutes pass, she goes, Air Force One, say request. He goes, we already went through the storm. Terrible, she could have gotten a lot of trouble for that one. We've had a lot of interesting times with a lot of different interesting pilots, especially students pilot come out with some beauties on the frequency. I love picking on individuals who can't, especially when there's this one guy who used to fly out of the west side, one of the rentals over there, and he couldn't say hotel. Oh, 9202 bucks. So being sarcastic as I can be, I turn around and I go, that's the 9202 bucks. That was they requested. Yeah, we go, oh, they're very happy because I'm going. It was hysterical. Now the instructors at Heritage picked up on this, and they called every airplane, hold it. This went on for a couple of weeks, so it got in a lot of control. But we had a lot of fun with that. The key to aviation, the key to any job, the key to anything, is if you can't inject a little humor, if you can't have a little fun, if it's all too serious, not only is it no fun, but it can become dangerous. Because if you keep relaxed and let your shoulders drop a little bit, you're able to absorb more and to see more. When you're tight and angry and upset, like so many other people up there, you miss half of the game. Because you're so angry at everything, you miss it. Relax, enjoy. You guys have the best hobby on the planet or job, as the case may be. And enjoy life, enjoy flying. Pass your knowledge on to the next person. The pilot-to-pilot idea, I think that's a great idea to get pilot, not only to help share costs and be able to do more flying, but if you fly with another pilot, perfect example, you and Interpol. The two of you learn from each other. You pass your experiences on to the next pilot and back and forth. Same thing like that. I mean, that's what it's all about. We got to tell each other our experiences. If you have a situation where you got yourself, like I told you before, I had I shouldn't have done it thing. I was in a Cessna 150 that only had a nav comm. Way before the computers weren't even out yet. That's how old I am. And I'm flying to my parents' place in upstate New York, not far from where we are now, a little restaurant called Skytop Airport. I got to go to college the next day. So I take my 150, and I had to do 4 boarded takeoffs. Oh, and that reminds me, I do have one more story. 4 boarded takeoffs because it's a downhill airport. You can only take off one way. You go up onto the road where it's paved, so the brakes will hold, and you wait for the windsock to go limp, and then you go. And it's a carrier takeoff because it drops about 400 feet at the end. If you're not airborne, by a certain point, you abort. And I'm just getting on the runway trying to turn around. I'm like, this is stupid. But I got to go to school. So the next one, I said, I'm going for it. And I'm going, and the airspeed's just coming alive, and I'm nearing the end of the runway. I'm like, this is not. And now I can't abort because I'm going to go off again. I'm going to just go. Well, I learned what an aircraft carrier pilot feels like. and it's not a good feeling, especially when they're in a catapult help. Because I went off the end, and I'm just barely getting near takeoff speed, and I go like this, 200 feet down, I come up, my heart was still down there. I didn't find it for about a week later. But I was I take off, and there's fog, all in the valleys. But because skytop is what it says, on top of the mountain. We're not in fog. So everything else, and I see Monticello sticking up out of the fog. That's on top of the mountain. I got to get fuel. So I call inbound, the guy goes, we're IFR. I said, no, you're not. I'm 15 miles out, and I see. He goes, well, they're fogging valley. I said, well, I'm going to fly there. I'm going to fly on top, so don't worry. So I went in, landed, fueled up. Meanwhile, I'm starting to lift a little bit. Okay, no problem. I take off, and I'm heading down to Long Island. As I'm going, now that fog became the deck that I was given in my briefing as a 2,000-foot deck. So I'm going up with it. And I'm going up with it. First thing, I'm at 4,500 feet, and I'm still going up. And I go, I got to go down. So now I realize that this is going to go up to like 6,000. I can see it building up in front of me. And I'm like, oh, what do? I saw a sucker hole. And I can only navigate or communicate. This truly was a nav-com, you had a switch. You either navigate it or communicate, you didn't have any other choice. I'm figuring on my maps about where it should be. I can't see anything. I'm not doing dead reckoning. I should be somewhere near Poughkeepsie. Doing in the radius, quick. Their VFR, I'm not about 1,200-foot ceiling. Ugh. So I see a sucker hole, and I see water. That's got to be the river. So it's a 150 arrow. I pulled the throttle, it's a tight hole, and I spun through it. All the way down for 4,500 feet. I broke at it 800 feet. And I'm right next to the Newburgh Bridge. And I'm like, now, I'm still looking for my heart back there. And it's going completely now because I can't even breathe. I realized that was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Almost. Then, that would be my first mission. So now I get out, and I quickly switch over because I realize I'm in Poughkeepsie's airspace. I'm close enough. I call him and he goes, are you that helicopter over by the bridge? And I go, no. I said, he goes, you haven't moved in the past couple minutes. I said, well, I was just coming down through a hole in the clouds. Oh, he was a pilot. He just said, oh, he kind of figured out what I did. He goes, what are your intentions? I said, well, special VFR. I'm an instrument pilot at this point, but the plane was not equipped. I come in and land. I got sweat stains down to my knees. I land, and I'm like, this is back during the strike. So I go in. Tower's closing in about 30 minutes for the rest of the day. So they only did 10 minutes. And flight service was there at that time, and I'm going in, what's the weather at Iceland? What's the weather at Bridgeport? And Danbury went home for the day, so there was no weather reporting between there and Bridgeport. So I'm like, 3 other pilots were there with me. We all got to get home. Ceiling lifts a little bit, they go VFR at 1,100 feet, and said, we're going home. So I'm like, all right, we're getting out of here. I got to get home. I take off, me, a Grumman Tiger, and an Arrow. And the 3 of us made 3 different decisions. Take off. And I said, if the clouds come down, I'm staying here. The other guy goes, well, I'll just pump up and go fly a car. I said, I don't have equipment. And the other guy said, I'll turn back and go land. So he run it no more than 5 miles away, here comes the weather now. So one guy makes a cue, he goes back, the other one goes up, and I kept going. So I had to get home. I'm at 800 feet, going between valleys. Navigating to what I think should be getting me out right by Bridgeport. So I'm dying, and all of a sudden I see these balls in front of me. And I went under them, because I couldn't get over them. My tension wires going across. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, Ben, don't listen to this. Well, the statute of limitations already passed. So I go under it, and I'm like, oh my God. And I think, like I said, I'm coming out by Bridgeport. All of a sudden, I get to the end of the mountains right there. You know, how Connecticut, the mountains, all of a sudden you stand there, it's just flat. And all of a sudden, there goes the ceiling up to 4,500 feet. And I'm like, oh, I'm a good pilot. I did it. Look, I made it to the other side. And I see what I think is Bridgeport from me. So I call Bridgeport Tower, that's 23380. Blah, blah, blah. I tell him, you need a transition on my way to Iceland. I'm feeling really good about it. So Iceland, I believe this. And he goes, where are you? I told him, okay, transition through. Let me when you're overhead the field. He knew where I was. I didn't. I just was skimming White Plains' airspace. because the valley turned. The roads kept making me do this. And the valleys, every time I went down the valley, I had to make a little turn, a little turn. And first thing you know, I'd gone over about 20 miles. I'm right on the edge of their 5-mile zone. Oh, this is Bridgeport. So now, being that proud pilot, I can't remember this thing. Bridgeport, Cessna 3. I'm going to do a little more sightseeing before someone goes, yeah, let me know how White Plains looks. I was like, damn, he knew exactly what I did. So then I came back and I crossed, and I got my punishment after landing for being stupid. I land, I'm literally soaking wet. I have no fuel. I land, pull up to Mid Island, get out of the plane, get in my car, and I got to go to the bathroom. Mid Island was closed for me, so I couldn't even get in the building. Get in my car, and I got a speeding ticket on Johnson Avenue. Cop couldn't kill us. I said, I almost died 3 times. I said, I got to go to the bathroom. And then I said, and everything was, why didn't you go to the bathroom? I can't. It was all closed. He goes, well, I said, well, I'll go now. No, they'll give you a ticket for that too. But that was my punishment for being stupid. But you learn from those mistakes. Always think twice. What's my backup plan? What am I really going to do? And after that, I always make sure I face it. But look, yes, sir.
So you were talking about, you know, when you declare an emergency, everybody's worried about what the FAA is going to do.
Right.
And so forth.
What Ben's going to do to you?
Special VFR. You're coming into Iceland, kind of stuff. You ask for the special VFR. What are the consequences of that, if any? I mean, you're below VFR
No, if you're below
minimums and all that, right?
As long as you're meeting the criteria to request a special VFR during the day, as long as you have contact ground, clear clouds, 1 mile visibility, you can request a special VFR. Now you have to be instrument ready. But the point is, you can declare there's nothing wrong with special VFR. We deal with them constantly. And there's no repercussions. We don't pull flight service or flight standards, nothing like that.
And you're going to vector me right in.
We cannot vector you.
Oh, you can't?
We cannot, because that negates the whole idea of special VFR.
Okay.
Remain clear of clouds. And I used to have to teach some of the young people up there learning. He says, well, can you remain? No, I can't vector you, because if I give you a vector, put you into clouds, it's my fault.
Yeah.
If you crash and die, it's on my back. The only thing we can say, if able, remain west, remain north. And if we can't get you in safely, remain clear of class Charlie. And I've had to say that because we have an airline or somebody, we have certain separation. For helicopters, we have a little more leeway, but not so much with Cessnas. And even though the rules give us more leeway, the TRACON took it away from us. Because they're even dumber than we are. They don't understand the rules for towers whatsoever. So, and I've said this to a couple of people who are asking questions about the tower. I said, the easiest answer is no. Because if you don't understand, I say no, and I can't be wrong. And this is what happens with these situations with TRACON, where they don't want to deal with the special VFR because they don't understand that we can bring you within a certain distance, certain criteria for diversion headings and such. They don't understand it. No, you can't do it. Let me know when the guy's landed or clear, and we'll bring the next airplane in. You can't have anybody come in right now because I got Springer airplanes. It's a sad thing, but they can do it. Let me ask you one last question. One last thing I wanted to bring up to you guys. I got an email, I don't know if it was an email, a text, or a Facebook message. You know the pilot workshops things they send you on your emails and stuff like that? There was one recently that I received that I thought was very good. Talked about a pilot. I think he was out of northern Connecticut, out of Bonanza. It's a true story. Out of Bonanza, and he's going to go land at Falmouth to visit friends and family. He had his wife and kids with him. He was going to be near Gross. It was a warm day. A lot of things against him. He was concerned that it was a short field. So in preparation, he figured if I land at my own airport and I can get off by midfield, I've more than met the length of that runway. I can do it. See you later, DePaul. So, did any of you guys see this thing where they gave you the aircraft came in and he said, I forget if it was 3 or 4 choices. And it was 4. I thought it was 4. They gave 4 choices. I can only remember 3. But I looked at it and they said, what would you do? So before you went further, I thought about the choices. I looked at it, I made my choice, what I thought was the best thing. Because I'm a big believer in go-orient. Again, this goes hand in hand with an emergency. If you're going onto an unfamiliar field, or if you're going someplace like this, or someplace a little tight, if I'm not, even at my own airport, I know if I pass a certain tree on the side, this is my go-around point. This is my abort point. I know what I gotta do at a certain point. I set myself these parameters. Even when I'm 338, I know, by this point, no, this point, no. So that's what they're talking about with this pilot, but he came in a little high, a little fast, and he bounced it, not once, but twice, and then they give you the four choices. I only remember three. One of them was, add a little power, smooth that, land, and land the brakes, and hope you get off before the trees, because there's trees at the end. The other one was, force it onto the road, know you're going to damage the aircraft, and land the brakes, and this way at least you'll stop before the trees. And then the other one was, go around, come back and do it again. I forget what the fourth one was. Do you remember? Probably bend over and kiss your foot for mine.
Part of it was the trees at the end of the, we did this at the BMC a couple of months ago. One of them was forcing to go around, but you had the 50-foot trees.
Right.
And one of the things he didn't do was pay attention to the white mark which said, if you pass this,
Abort.
and he didn't.
Right. Now they gave you a choice at that point. Yes, sir.
The other two choices were, you're at small speed, full power and flying 50 feet.
Right.
Fourth choice is
Build speeding. That's what I think. The two go-arounds were split. One was just keep milking and try to shake your way up, or get your speed at any point. And I'm always a firm believer in the go-around, but see, I would never got to that second bounce. I would have done the first bounce, and that's my indication right there, because one, I'm too embarrassed that I bounced. I've only done that twice in my entire life. One of them was going into my own airport, and I was alone in the plane. I had about a 500-pound grill in the back. Well, the thing's a dumper, put anything on it. And so I'm going, and I'm coming in really super, right after I got the plane. We're going into the airport, or I'm coming into the airport by myself, and it's up there when you get that northwest wind, I only got a north-south runway. And it was almost out of the due west of about 30. And I'm like, this is not good. And I convinced myself, I psyched myself out that I'm going to have a hard time. I'm coming in, not following proper procedure, which I should have known. You know, I'm up to 3,000 hours now. You think I'd know what I'm doing. And I come in and I planted it and I porpoised. As soon as it did it, I'm like, oh, you dummy. And I went full power and I said, one porpoise is enough for me. I'm going around. It's too short of a runway to mess with. So I put it on the power, and I just, as I'm getting it, the second touch was just coming, and I go off. I come back and land, yelled at myself on the downwind, and I greased the next landing, because I took my head out and flew the plane. But that's where you have to know your limitations, you have to know your aircraft performance, like with the, with the Cirrus and stuff. Cirrus is a unique aircraft, and by the way, those wheel pans aren't that low. They're not as low, they're as low as my Cherokee was. Yeah, they're good. Might get a little grass thing on it, but that's all right. I keep it more true. But the, you have to know your limitations, you have to know your airplane's limitations, and your comfort zone. Because you don't want to go outside that comfort zone. It can come back and bite you. But I said in that scenario, I said I would have gone around. Because I think, yeah, I went with the first one. And I was shocked when they said, no, plant it and damage the aircraft and save your family. That's always a good thing to save your family, but that's not always guaranteed. If you're creating a situation where you're slowing down, you can also do damage that can create a fire and the chances of getting out rapidly. And I've seen so many crashes over my career that if I can do what I can do, I'll do it. But again, I know my plane performance. I know if I go around, I know I'm going to climb out. Now, granted, if I was on a hot, steamy day and I was worried about the performance of the aircraft, maybe I'd think twice. But these are things you have to do. Did any of you guys do that test? Who passed? Oh, I know you would, JC.
There's no right
So
answer.
did that.
There is really no right answer because every situation is unique. Again, it's knowing your ability, knowing the aircraft's ability, and knowing the situation at hand. But one thing I liked about that was that the guy knew he was going into an airport that he was not necessarily familiar with or comfortable with, and he did some prep, but he didn't follow his own limitations that he set upon himself. Because he said, if I'm not down by this point, I'm going to go around, and he didn't. Okay.
Just have a quick comment. If people are interested in scenarios like that, the third